daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle. I am Iain Michael. I'm the host. I'm joined by the missing in action. Oh no, he's back from his holidays. Michael Grameslaw. Less than 10 minutes after the end of the game, is it, Michael?
Yeah, pretty
Apparently,
much.
we're going to be talking about soccer, but I'm not sure I'll watch very much of that this afternoon. West Ham 3, Newcastle 1. Yes, it is 2025, not the mid-80s, and West Ham have still beaten us 3-1. How are you doing, Michael?
Well, as you say, I've had a lovely bit of time off, and then I've come back, and I wish I'd stayed away. I can't lie. Managed to get to the game last weekend. Came back, I can't wait to do the pods again. I've only missed a couple, but we're winning, we're doing well, and I'm enjoying it. And then put myself back in for this one, and then West Ham. All right, we should win that. 4 minutes in, lovely. By the end. Do I have to do this again? But no, it's all good. It's just a bit of a difficult day, isn't it?
I'm traumatized. However, we should keep some degree of structure to our podcast instead of just moaning, because there's going to be plenty of opportunity for moaning anyway. Eddie Howe made 6 changes to the team which brushed aside Tottenham on Wednesday, really reverting back to the first team that played against Brighton. Apart from Kraft kept his place because Trippier apparently is a bit ill, I think. I'm trying to remember who it is who was kept
probably
his
out
place.
in the town on Halloween.
Pope was in.
Tonali was the other main one that kept his place.
Yes, of course. I thought that would look like they'd picked the strongest team, I mean, I was arguing with Kevin on the preview that maybe it was time for Alanga to be given a decent run, but he was sure that Murphy was going to start, as he's been our most successful winger by quite a way in the Premier League this year. Chow and Botman, the favoured two, still at centre half. Shah, unlucky to lose his place, but back on the bench. And of course, Tonali, Guimaraes, and Joelinton. We've said this in the last couple of weeks, by the way, the best midfield in the Premier League, apparently. All starting, and I mean, Voltemada
not
up
believe
front,
that as much as what I used to.
It looked as though it was set up. West Ham, Nuno had managed to draw out of his first 4 games, which was no worse than the previous games they'd played. They had lost all 4 home games, having managed 1 goal. It was set up for a walk in the park, was it not? Would you have put anybody else in? Would you have changed that team?
It's one of those. No, I think when I looked at it, I was in the car on the way back, and I saw Kraft, and I thought, Kraft and Dan Burn as your fullbacks is a recipe for disaster. But I thought if Trippier's out, maybe I would have liked to have seen Malik Chow there and Fabian Schär coming in at centre back. Just because I know Malik Chow played there a little bit for AC Milan. Whether or not it was to any great success or not, I don't remember. But it certainly would have had more success than Kraft on the right back today. Because it couldn't have been worse, really.
I think you're right. And I think Dan Burn, I don't get what he's doing. I mean, I know we're going to talk about each half in more detail, but generally speaking, Dan Burn keeps legging up the pitch to take in inside left position. Sometimes a left wing position. Sometimes he's sitting there as the centre forward.
It's a bit
I noticed Anthony Gordon dropping back to cover at left back as well. What's happening? Did we go into this too complacent? Did that team, having played so well against Barcelona and in the Champions League, and as I say, brushed aside Tottenham? I'm bewildered. I'm traumatized. I'm sorry if it's sounding disjointed. I don't know where to go with it.
I
They didn't
think
look
for
in
me,
that first few minutes like they were taking things too easy.
no, I don't think it was taking it too easy. I think it's a lack of a secondary option, a secondary tactic, should I say? It's one of those where our tactic has always been wingers get wide, fullbacks invert, get a bit further forward. Off fullbacks when it's Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall that can bomb up and down the pitch, no problem. We're still trying to play that way when it's Emil Kraft, and to be honest, Kieran Trippier as well. He isn't exactly the quickest. And then Dan Burn at left back as well. And it's almost one of those where you look at it and go, right, now it's time for plan B. Maybe it's time for the five at the back where you have, I don't know, Jacob Murphy at right wing back, and I guess it would be Kieran Trippier left wing back like England did. You play your three in midfield as you do, and then you have one of the wingers supporting Voltemada up front. Just because the way we're currently going just wasn't, I mean, you look at the wins against Fulham, we weren't great. Second best for a large portion of it, but still got the win, did well. Tottenham, again, I think Tottenham are good. They just don't have a goal scorer. So it's one of those where we're currently in the midst of it's lump the ball forward and hope for the best a lot of the time. And then if we're not doing that, we're trying to do tiki-taka passing when they've got 10 men behind the ball, and it just doesn't work. There needs to be a plan B there for Newcastle, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like we've got one, particularly away from home. We're just sitting back and hoping for the best. Get Pope to lump it forward to the big man, and when he gets 10 touches in 45 minutes or whatever it was, then it's just a bit pathetic, really.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I don't want to dive into specifics in the match because we've got nothing to talk about in part 2 and part 3 then, but you're saying that we haven't got a second tactic. I don't even think that was the first tactic. I don't remember there being lots of pressing. I don't
No, it wasn't.
remember us being on the front foot. What I do remember is lots of the sort of thing that we like to see Arsenal do when we're playing them, which is passing it backwards and forwards across the pitch and not moving forward at all in front of us because we've got 10 men behind the ball and there's no danger on that. And so it proved. So it proved. Michael, let's get into the game. I'll bring in Ken early. Here he comes.
Okay, let's
Your
go.
body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique.
And I was ready for that, and I still didn't click it fast enough. It got me. It got me the last time as well. Not sure why it
Well,
keeps
it's happened
doing
to
the
someone
circle.
else.
I don't know. Don't understand. Anyway, part 2. The match kicks off. The match kicks off, and before I've sat down and blown on me coffee to start having a first sip, Jared Bowen is nearly knocking a post out of the ground with a fantastic shot.
Yeah, he was good.
That was very good. But amazingly, I think it was 26 seconds later. It seemed so straightforward. Bruno turned, ran forward 10 yards, gave it to Murphy, who turned, beat his man, looked up, put it in the bottom corner. 1-0 after 4 minutes. Why did we not do that 6 or 7 more times, Michael? Because after that, I don't know. We just seemed to think, well, it is going to be this easy as we thought it was, and then stop working right the way through to the
Yeah.
end. I know I'm just commentating on it and not giving you any questions to answer, but I'm traumatized, genuinely traumatized. It was a
No, I
ropey
get it. I mean,
start. It looked,
it's
we
one of
had our
those
best
that
players are. Go
Hmm.
on.
I was just gonna say I'll just so but in it's one of those where for me, first half in particular, there was a real lack of energy. And it's one of those where you look at Newcastle, and this is where the issue on whether it's the attitude or not can come into play, because you're sitting there looking at the energy, and for the goal, you're looking at it and going, all right, we've got a bit of zip about it here. Champions League, Carabao Cup, it's all right. Looks like it's all fine. And then all of a sudden, after the 6th or 7th minute, it was all West Ham. And you're starting to wonder, Bruno's losing the ball every time he's getting it. Joe Linton's not covering as much ground as what he normally does. Our fullbacks cannot move, so I mean they try to, credit to them, but they've got more movement than me after about the same amount of movement as me, should I say, after 10 pints, and I can tell you that's not a lot. So it's one of those. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, what is going on? And the only saving grace of the first half was the goal. And thankfully, at the start of the second half, I know we'll get to it, Eddie Howe clearly realised some players were just absolutely diabolical, but you've got a striker who can't get into the game when we play against a low block. We've got a winger in Anthony Gordon who just seems to care about playing for England at the moment. And then we've got the rest of the team, which just seem absolutely knackered. And maybe Voltamada and Gordon are too. They're playing the international breaks, obviously. But we just have no energy whatsoever. And to be outworked and outclassed by a team with, they have 4 points or something going into this game. It really is pathetic, and it's really, really unacceptable from Newcastle. And I don't know if there's any other way to say it. Maybe you can articulate it better than I can, but it's just unacceptable, and it's pathetic.
I hear what you're saying, Michael, and maybe Voltamada I could excuse for being off it, because he has played game after game after game. He did another 65 minutes,
100%.
70 minutes against Tottenham. Anthony Gordon didn't. Anthony Gordon just came on for the last 2 minutes to get his appearance money against Tottenham. He's got no excuse. He's had a week off. For goodness sake, they're professional athletes and they're trained. They're honed. They've got all the stamina built up over the last, 3 years. He can't be tired. That said, I'm not sure that it was quite as one-sided in the first half as it became in the second half. And I think what Howe did in throwing his toys out the pram at half time was to take off some of the players that actually could have made a difference if they had found some form. I don't think I would have yanked Gordon off after a half. I don't think I would have yanked Voltamada off unless he'd asked to, because he was tired. But I didn't feel very confident at all. Well, certainly not having watched Botman score the only winner he's ever scored when he's played for Newcastle just before half time. What a sucker punch that was. No, I didn't feel very confident going into the second half with him having taken the players off that he took off, because the rest of them weren't doing it either. I think I was amazed that Joe Linton could last for as long as he did, because I don't remember him doing very much at all.
No. He had a really poor game, unfortunately. I think it's one of those as well. Like, you look at the substitutes that were made. It was Fabian Schär on for Emil Kraft, and you're thinking, right, that probably should have been done at the start of the game. But we've tested something; it hasn't worked. That's fine. The only way you learn from things is by testing and improving on that. And then you're thinking, Osula's come on for Voltamada, as he said. It's like, right, okay. Osula did nothing when he came on. I don't think he made. I'm going to throw up 8 as the number out there. 8 passes of the ball. He did 2 shots, 1 straight at the goalkeeper, 1 went out for a throw.
Which he should have shot, which he tried to put it across. I was screaming for him to take a shot, but his confidence had gone by then.
Yeah. And I know we're talking about the first half, so I'll get to, we'll go for the goal from us. Obviously, we mentioned it's good, but the goal from West Ham, what do you think about Nick Pope? Because he's got to be saving that, or at least catching the first ball, hasn't he? Or am I being harsh?
I didn't know why he punched instead of catch, but it was a good punch. There was distance on it. It was right out of his box. Yeah. Whoever it came to played a first touch header to the left at Paquetá. But Paquetá must be, 22, 23 yards out? It's a good strike, but he's across. Pope's across. I think he gets 2 hands on it. He
He
just
does,
doesn't
yeah.
keep it
Gets the
out.
handsome
He
goal.
pushes it into the side of the net. Looks like a great goal, but I think Pope's at fault there. Bring back Ramsdale.
That's
Um,
why people were saying, actually, when I was watching the game, it was a case of, I don't know what Ramsdale's got to do to get in the team. And I
well,
have to say, Nick Pope has had a good start the season for Newcastle. But when mistakes start creeping in, he does tend to make quite a few in a small period of time. And you are
yeah.
starting wondering now, either is the international break going to come at the perfect time for him, or is it going to be one where Ramsdale, by the time the derby comes around, will Ramsdale be in goal?
Well, I think if he's honest, Pope would hold his hands up and say, "Yeah, I should have kept that out, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't push it hard enough." He did make a couple of good saves in the first half.
he
One
did.
low down to his left, which he put around. And I don't blame him for being wrong-footed and looking like he'd actually gone for an early half-time cup of tea when Botman slid the ball into his near post for him.
Yeah,
And we'll come on to the last goal right at the end, though. That's got Pope's grubby finger marks all over it, personally. Um, but yeah, so I think what Ramsdale's got to do has just happened. Got to wait for Nick Pope to have a dodgy game, and then
yeah,
there's a straight swap there. I don't think you wait for Nick Pope to have dodgy game after dodgy game to do the swap. Ramsdale's played twice for us and looked excellent in both games.
he
I
has.
think
Yeah,
I think that should be a swap for next week. Whether Howe will do that, he's a bit of a loyal old fruit sometimes, isn't he? I would
yeah.
try
It'll be one of
Ramsdale for
those,
sure.
particularly with Pope being here full time, Ramsdale being on loan. I think you'll probably give Pope a couple more chances, but it's one of those where when the first error happens, usually there's a one the week after that, then the week after that, and there's 4 or 5 in a row, and then he goes to
Mm,
being pretty brilliant again for a couple of months, but then he just has spells where he is pretty terrible, and that's what sticks in people's heads so much. Like Pope has won us more games than he's lost us, but
oh
when he
yes,
loses, he's like when we had the back two of and Nicola's favourite centre back partnership for us, Bramble and Boom song. um, Both of those on the day, fantastic. But when they dropped clangers, they were clangers that would always lead to goals, and they were the worst clangers you'd see in Premier League blooper reels. And Nick
yeah.
Pope's a bit like that, where he'll have, maybe it's a bit harsh comparing him to Bramble and Boom song, because he isn't bad, but his clangers are that bad, if that makes sense.
They are. They are. So we go in, um, having sat there disappointed, thinking, how can it be 1-1 at half time? We go in 2-1 behind.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even think about this dreadful second half without a small break now to listen to how wonderful Zencastr is, Michael.
Oh, well, let me tell you. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we've spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. And Zencastr came out the clear winner with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It is super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, click the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Thank you, Michael. I'm not really ready to tell my story. I have never done one of these instant post-match reactions before, and I'm just so annoyed. I'm
Yeah, they're
cross.
horrible after a loss, I will say that.
So, half time, Howe has obviously realised that something's off and makes changes by
Yeah,
taking Kraft off and trying Chow, which we said in previous weeks we could try Chow at right back, and Shah, who
yeah,
played very well when he came on, he comes in at centre half. I like that one. Gordon and Voltamada coming off though for and Asula and
Jacob Ramsey.
Ramsey. Yeah, yeah, with Joe Linton going on to the left wing, Ramsey taking over in midfield.
Yeah,
I know
the thing
Ramsey's looked
is,
all
I
right with
actually
the
liked
flashes and
Ramsey.
touches, but yeah, did you think that was going to change it though?
So I looked at Ramsey and thought that's a lot more creativity in midfield, but as much as I disagree that I agree that he was terrible, should I say. I kind of think you can't play Joe Linton at left wing when you're chasing a game. You've got to have Anthony Gordon or Harvey Barnes on. So I disagree that Gordon should have come off. He was terrible, I agree. But you can't play. Put it this way: how much money have we spent over the last 3-4 years? We started the second half with Jacob Murphy, who, to be fair to him, has been fantastic when he's played, William Osula, and Joe Linton as our front three. And that's about as bad as Chelsea after spending $1 billion. And their wingers actually look half decent now, so maybe we'll get there. But we're looking at it and going, Ramsey, Shaw, brilliant bringing them on. Osula, again, I'm torn. I love him, but I hate him at the same time. And you're looking at that front three and going, that's not scoring against, I know, Portsmouth. And I know West Ham have the worst defence in the Premier League, but we didn't get close.
Well, just as fast forward 40 minutes or whatever it was, that very tame headed back pass that Osula made from was it a Ramsey cross or a Langa cross?
I think so.
That was
I
our
think it was
first. That was our first shot on target in the second half. So we huffed and puffed and made further changes to try and get a foothold in the game. But the more changes we made, the further behind we seemed to get. I mean, we haven't mentioned a Chow tackle that needed a microscopic examination of the VAR to avoid a penalty in the first half. It was a good tackle.
Right.
It was
Great
a good
tackle
tackle, but without VAR, that's another goal for West Ham because they take the penalty. I think they scored. They scored 2 offside goals, one in each half. I think, did they not? I can't remember.
I know they
I don't
definitely
know.
scored one. I can't remember. There was definitely one from, I think it was Suchek or Freddie Potts. Potts, yes, that was the one. That was not given enough. Yeah, you might have been right. There might have been one in the first half. I can't remember.
I might be thinking about the
terrible.
penalty, the 2 VAR decisions that were touch and go that went our way.
Yeah, I think they are.
So I mean, we haven't just, when we played West Ham last year at home, we lost 2-0. So this is a better result than that. But the performance
Not
against
much.
West Ham did a smash and grab on us. I mean, we were awful that night, but we still had most of the ball and most of the attacks, and West Ham got us. But not today. Today we're clear second best, the whole lot. As I say, if that penalty's awarded and they score it, and the offside goal, which I saw on the television, it literally was half a big toe that he was offside.
Yeah.
I would be really annoyed if that had been given offside against us. I mean, that's then 5-1, isn't it? And we are so impotent in front of goal. Where was the creativity? I thought Bruno was dreadful. However many times he turns into falling over the ball and giving it away, I don't know. Fed up of seeing that. Tonali, bless him, finished at right back. He was still trying, and he was a little bit more secure with the ball, but it didn't matter because wherever he tried to make a pass, it was going to somebody. I saw Dan Burn try to trap the ball, and it ended up about 15 yards away from him.
Yeah.
Michael, I can't analyze this. It just was rubbish and getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. And did you know? Were you not sitting there in the last 10 minutes thinking we've got to build up a head of steam, but thinking that, oh no, all that means is that there'll be no defence and they'll race away and score a third. I knew that was happening.
I was worried. Yeah, I was worried about them scoring a third, and I think the thing for me is, again, I've mentioned it before, the clear lack of the plan B. I mean, and that's in the game. West Ham made a clearance from their box 40 times, which is almost every other minute, which comes from a terrible cross. How many of those did we see? A cross coming in that hit the first man, whether it was Murphy, Gordon, Barnes, Alanga, Tonali when he was put out there, Kraft puts him in, Byrne puts him in. Malik Chow probably put one in, and every single one of them seemed to hit the first man or be overplayed. And you're sitting there thinking, right, Todibo and Kilman aren't good technically, but what they are good at, a bit like I can't remember who did an interview the other day, and he was talking about Craig Dawson, and he was saying, "Oh, Craig Dawson, I would never get him to play football. All I would say is get your head on the ball and get it out." That is the same as Kilman and Todibo. So what do you do when you play against them? You don't launch it into like Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon, which a lot of the time we were. It was from winger to winger. And try and get headers against them. It doesn't work. You've got to try and be intricate against them and try and get the ball in behind. But honestly, we just didn't even attempt it by the looks of it. It was. I understand where you come with the analysis, because it's one of those where you just look at it and go, West Ham were better than us tactically. They were better than us motivationally. They genuinely were just all over the pitch, better and more motivated. So it's really, really worrying from Newcastle.
Well, let's hope that that's the bad game. I mean, I know we want to improve our Premier League results. That's 10 games we played now, but there's still 28 more games to go. If we can beat West Ham at home, we'll have got 3 points off West Ham this season, which is the same as last year. So it shouldn't have an impact on where we finish in the league. And thank God we've not thrown a performance like that in yet in the Champions League or in the Carabao Cup. I think if we're going to pick a game to be terrible in, it needed to be this one rather than the one against Benfica or
Athletic
Fulham.
Club coming up.
I couldn't remember who it is. Tottenham.
Yeah.
Tottenham. That's what I mean. And we beat Fulham in the middle as well. So yeah, God, I've got tickets. You've got tickets for Athletic Bilbao on Wednesday.
Got to bounce back.
And I think when we were previewing this match, thinking Howe's got 18 players he could put. It doesn't matter who he picks, really. Now he's going to be putting about 4 names on the team sheet and scratching his head, wondering who's going to be less rubbish than other people and watch that game. God, I hope he puts it through
Who
the paces
featured
at
today,
training
and
tomorrow.
why can't I play them?
Yeah,
yeah, Brentford as well. Afterwards,
I think Botman was unlucky to come off. He wasn't dreadful at all. I know he'd scored
I agree.
the own goal, but he didn't. I mean, that can happen to anyone. It's a last desperate defence, isn't it? I didn't think Chow was dreadful.
I agree. He was good.
It was
still
the
good.
midfield was just got to have Miley in. Got to have Miley in. And Joe Willock played so well against Spurs. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come in as well. Up front, Voltemada needs a good rest. But
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
either needs a break or a hand.
I think Murphy starts. Lewis
Murphy's got
Hall
to
was on
start,
the bench, but didn't get on. So
I don't think he features. I don't think Lewis Hall features until after the international break. I think he was probably only on the bench because of the illness to Trippier. But I think it's one of those. I mean, Lewis Hall, when he came back the first time, said he wasn't confident in his own body. I think that's probably still the case there. But I genuinely think at the back we haven't got any choices. And when I said at the end of the transfer window, I still think we need a left back. I would have took a right back as well, to be honest, but then we'd have 4. It's just one of those you've got to prepare for these sort of things, and one injury to Lewis Hall has led to Dan Burn playing left back, and our typical shape in the way we play is completely thrown out the window because the full back can't get forward. And Dan Burn will always try. Dan Burn will give you 100% every single game. Can't complain about that, but he isn't a left winger. Not a left winger, sorry, he isn't a left back, and he cannot move. But I do have one very exciting stat for you. So based on our start of the season, if we continued this way, we would finish with 45 points, which is exactly the same accumulated in 2 out of the 3 campaigns, I believe it was, of 2. Either way, 2 out of 3 years under Steve Bruce.
Yeah, but it's not going to continue as bad as that, Bunny lad. It's not.
You reckon?
It's not. We know these are good players. We know that they've got a system. How many times did Steve Bruce get beaten at home as well? Eddie's not going to do that. It's not. I've got faith in them.
We've been beaten
I
a
think you
lot
can
of
always.
times already.
I think they can throw a lot. They can throw the odd dodgy performance in. West Ham suddenly gets something to fight, and at half time go, bloody hell, we're winning. And they've got a new manager. Nuno's work has obviously taken effect, so he's suddenly become hard to break down. Yeah, it's only one game. Let's move on from it. Let's look forward to having 9 points out of 12 after we've stuffed Athletic Bilbao, and a different team, please, a different approach when we turn up back in London next Saturday to play against Brentford, or Sunday next weekend. Oh, Michael, it's lovely to see you. It's lovely to see you. I'm sorry we've had to talk about the. It's like meeting up with an old family member at a cousin's funeral. That's what it's like
I've
today.
only been gone a week.
I meant the Newcastle performance was like the death of a family member. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for that. That's it. I've had it. I'm going to play the sweeper. Thanks everyone for listening. Sorry if we've depressed you too much. We're not normally this bad. If you want cheering up, look, I've got bears on my jumper today. Oh, we're clutching at straws. See you next time.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.